Guess we're gonna do some sim runs again today. See how it goes. I did do a couple earlier, but actually I failed the W3 one because I tried running it with Ting Yusi, and it just didn't work. So we will see how it goes this time. Let me just shift this mic over here. Hopefully a bit smoother. Gepard's ability is just a bit fucking annoying, to be honest. With the garrison shield thing, it sucks. It sucks ass. So usually I can avoid it just by beating his ass before he even is able to cast that, but as the levels scale up, I think it's not going to be quite so easy, unfortunately. But we will see. Hunt as usual. I don't know if it would be worth making, also recording some videos of other paths. Could be fun, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments, Copium, whether I should do other paths. But for now, I think Hunt is just the most straightforward. I've run it before, and it just makes sense. Just crit damage, crit chance. That's basically it, just pure damage. Don't really like destruction because with the health issues, it just feels a bit iffy. Like you just kind of you could just die if something goes wrong, especially if you're on auto. But yeah, that's why I don't really like it. Abundance and Preservation I like. Used to use them before, but they're just a bit slower. Otherwise, I think I tried Nihility, but my team comp is not really that set up for it. Just because I don't have any dots, basically. I have a couple, but they're not the focus. But yeah. Just grab some extra shields and stuff. Why not? Aha, again. What is the other path? I can't even remember. Harmony? Harmony, I have... Is that a path? Maybe I'm misremembering things. Double cast. What is the other path actually? I'll just look it up right now. Seven paths. Oh, Remembrance, of course. So we have Preservation, Remembrance, Nihility, Abundance, Hunt, Destruction, and Elation, of course. Okay. Yeah, Elation also, I don't have that much, that many characters on the team who, well, I don't think any of them do follow-up attacks. So, also it's something you'd have to build a team comp around, I think. Remembrance also, I no longer run March, so just a lot less freeze to be working with. But, I mean, it's not the end of the world, I think. I will not be picking up these. What does that leave us with? Yeah, I guess it's just generally that, basically. It's the fact that my team comp that I normally run just doesn't really suit a bunch of these. Preservation would be okay with MC. I think MC is particularly good for Preservation. Just because he just shields everyone. So stuff like the, you know, shielded characters get X. You just get a bunch of buffs for free, essentially, because he just does it. He doesn't even have to use his taunt ability, right? You can just do it even on his basic attack. So that is probably a good one. Although I must say he doesn't, well, it's good and it's not as good, because obviously his shield isn't that thick either. So things that scale off shield percent or whatever it's called, it's not that great either. Anyway, like this, like, I think you just don't necessarily have to go, because you can pick like blessings of all paths. I think like generally stuff like preservation, you're better off. I guess it's the same for most of them. It's not really worth going the full path unless your team comp is built around it, apart from stuff like hunt or destruction. Even abundance to some extent is kind of like that, but you can kind of get away with it to some extent. Like I ran abundance without even running any healing characters before. Like I haven't even raised my Natasha. I've never run a healing character in my entire life, so you can to some extent work with the blessings that cause healing, and it's fine. Unlike stuff like Path of Nihility, where like you really, to get the most out of it, you really need to be running some like burn characters or something like that. So yeah, I guess Hunt is just the most generic one, really. Doesn't really have any requirements per se for your build. You can just be running anything you want and it will work. I mean, I guess it works best if your team has some like a decent amount of crit rate to begin with, but that's probably that's less of a character choice and just more about having decent relics, which is, I would guess, important. I guess that is probably just pretty important generically anyway, unless you're just running some weird riposte comp or something like that. Even then, it probably is useful. So yeah, I mean, I could try some of these other ones, but I have a feeling it would be a lot more painful to run. It's not that I'm against it, it's just that raising characters is so damn expensive. Otherwise, I'd happily try all of the different paths and get them to work. I mean, like Nihility, for example, does seem very fun. And Remembrance, for example. I mean, how many characters even do follow-up attacks? I'm not actually sure. I don't think it's that many. Sushang and March off the top of my head. I don't know if any others do. I guess I can look it up now. Counter-attacks the follow-ups to Clara as well. So here we go. Himiko, Clara, Jinghuan, Herta, and March 7th. Oh, and I mean Sushang does as well. I don't know why he didn't do that. But yeah, I mean, I don't have the vast majority of those, or I don't use them, so Himiko, Clara, Jinghuan, obviously. Herta is not raised, March 7th and Sushang is basically the only two I have, and they're not particularly well raised or geared. And I find that March is just such a big damage decrease, and I just don't need the utility of the freeze, especially with the kind of the massive freeze res that enemies tend to have. It really sucks. It just feels really bad to run her and then like nothing happens. So yeah, but that also means like most of the Elation blessings just really suck hard. The one useful thing is that 3-star Elation blessing, which turns ultimates into follow-up attacks. It is useful there, but it's kind of, you know, you tend not to want to build blessings, or in a wider context, generally you don't want to build things like this around the chance that you'll hit this one 3-star blessing. Right? It just doesn't feel good. Means your runs are way more likely to run into just having dead blessings basically, but obviously sometimes you don't have a choice like that. I wonder if how they're gonna expand it in the future, if they are going to. I assume that they will kind of try and expand Simulated Universe in the future, although maybe they won't. I guess they tend to have a lot of kind of small mechanics that don't really... Mihoyo tend to have these kind of mechanics that they kind of throw away. I feel like that's one thing they can do better, is try and improve existing things. Like otherwise, a lot of quests and stuff, they just have like some new mechanic that only ever exists there and they never use it again, right? Or they will probably require more effort. I think it would be worth kind of just trying to tie some of these mechanics together, maybe reuse them later in the story, right? Otherwise, it's kind of hard to develop them as a whole. In terms of Sim Universe, I don't know if they'll add more Eons in the future and therefore more paths. I guess it might be kind of unlikely given they're tied to character archetypes, so it's probably a bit more difficult. So maybe they'll add more blessings, or maybe more resonance abilities. That could be cool to, you know, give you a bit more choice as to what you can pick when you actually get these, right? And maybe just add a bit more strategy to it, right? Make it a bit more fun. Means you have to think a bit more about which thing you're picking. Maybe they could add some blessings that are kind of, you know, double-edged, kind of like negative cures, but they're like permanent negative kind of downsides to the blessing, right? So kind of, you know, you have to build your team comp a certain way. Maybe it'll be a bit better if they could give support to paths, so you don't have to. There's not just like kind of one way to build the team per se, because right now they're pretty one-dimensional, right? It's like preservation, you just stack a fat shield and deal damage based on the shield. Abundance, you just heal and get buffs off of that. Remembrance is just you freeze, and then I guess there's also the I forgot what the dissolution or whatever the debuff is that comes along with that. But it's not like you have to take that, right? It's just like if you have the option to take it, you will, because this is actually damage, right? All the paths are just a bit one-dimensional, I feel. And that's something they could definitely benefit from, or at least that's kind of a future path where they can kind of change how Sim Universe works, kind of, you know, add a bit more development in there. Also, I guess like the tree, for example, like the passive tree that they have, it's also a little bit one-dimensional. It's just adding attributes, right? It'd be cool if it's more like a kind of choice-based tree, right? So you can like choose specifically for like Path of Hunt, you can get these extra things, unlock extra blessings, or I don't know, buff the resonance ability or something, right? I guess like I don't know how it works in the back end. I'm guessing maybe it's also a bit annoying if you were to have really huge passive trees. Maybe there's some limitations there, but I think it would be really fun if they had huge, like kind of, you know, Path of Exile style passive trees. Doesn't have to go that far, of course, but like something where you can kind of build a tree out. I think that'd be really cool, and kind of really add to the replayability of it, right? Because right now we're kind of dealing with really a bit of a drought of content. So if they had just added like even just the ability to have a skill tree and make it really slow to grind the XP, I think people would still do it, right? Even if there wasn't that much in the tree, and just say, oh, you know, we'll add more stuff to the tree later and we'll let you respec the tree. But say for example like, oh, that you can get up to like 100 points to put in this tree. You can earn them for now, maybe there's not too much to put them into, but we'll definitely add more stuff later, right? It would really help with the replayability of it, because right now, what do you do sometimes for, like, to really slowly farm credits and mats? It's not really that interesting, right? There's nothing really long-term beyond, like, the fact that you are just extremely poor and you need the money. It's like, it's pretty boring in that way, right? So I feel like that would be a good idea. Upgrade that, a little bit of break efficiency. That's probably not great, just because the shield effect is pretty low on this character. I guess I'll just do this, because there are a couple of elites in this boss battle. See how it goes. Might not go perfectly, I'll just leave it on auto and see if we can get this done. See if he spams his garrison ability like a little pleb. what else would be fun? I guess they can always add more worlds. They can add more occurrences and encounters. Maybe even different types of stages, right? Like the way they've built it now. Again, I don't know if there's limitations around this. Each stage is you can walk around. There's like a mini area, right? What if they had like a little puzzle type thing? Right? That'd be really cool. Or what else could you do? Anything that's like not strictly combat based, right? So currently they obviously have. That's okay by the philosophy of how it's designed, right? Because you have current stages which don't involve any combat. You just click through, pick some dialogue options, right? Maybe if you could have like yeah, like puzzles or anything like that, right? Something else that you could do. I keep thinking parkour, but obviously that's not going to be a thing. Or like a time trial, or I guess they have like a couple of encounters right now that are kind of like that. You have to beat it within 4 turns to get an extra prize, but you could do something where it's like I don't know. You can spam ultimates or something like that, but the enemies are really hard. Or you can spam skills, or just more limitations on the battle. Where it's like it's optional, like you don't have to, but you get an extra thing if you're able to complete it without using your skills or your ultimates or basic attacks or something like that. Right? Something that's just like beyond just basic combat to give it a bit of replayability. Other stuff you could do, like maybe if you had more like a long-term quest, right? So I guess they built up some of that with like this kind of Eon lore, that you kind of meet them within Sim Universe and you can interact with them. Maybe if there's going to be like a super long arching quest where like, say like after 100 sim runs you finally get this crazy encounter, or like 1,000 sim runs or something. You kind of just slowly build up your affinity with these Eons. And then maybe this could also translate to something outside of Sim Universe, right? Maybe you get some cool blessing that you can use outside of that. I think there's a lot of room for growth in this. I mean, I said before, I really like this game, and I feel like I would be disappointed if they didn't kind of fully utilize the game, because I think there's definitely a lot of potential here. What else? It'd be cool if, I guess, again, going back to the Eons, if you had some kind of cool Sim Universe exclusive bosses, so like, maybe you end up fighting the Eons, or like vessels of the Eons, right, or something like that. Or the Eons help you beyond having just like the path resin and stuff, right? Maybe like, you can use them as a support or something cool, right? You can actually, like, if your resonance reaches like a really high point, you can actually like call down the Eon or something to do some kind of cool ultimate attack or something like that, right? I think there's a lot of kind of common game design things where, like, if you completely max out a path, like unlock everything for it, and you do a whole bunch of stuff for it, maybe you get some small passive bonus that you get for your whole team during Sim Universe, even if you don't pick that path, right? Stuff like that, where you can really, it kind of rewards you for playing the game mode right. And as long as it's small enough, then you won't be punishing new players that much either. I think as long as the progression is set up correctly, I think it's okay to have it like that, and have a bit of a bonus, because that bonus is probably not going to impact you that much, and maybe it's only useful when you're like really in the higher difficulties, right? So it's kind of, you naturally will just progress up there. Same with the passive tree and stuff. But anyway, I guess that was pretty, the fight went pretty straightforwardly. I mean, about half health, but it was all dandy. Cool. Well, I finished my dailies for the week. Wow, some more absolutely amazing artifacts there. Just collect all this stuff. That's a decent amount of money in this, but also not a huge amount. Alright, well, I guess I'll leave it there then. Thanks for watching, Mel, if that's you. You're the only person watching these videos, probably.